So something else that's really cool about the unit circle that I don't know if I went over before is that if we have an angle, right, if we're going counterclockwise around our unit circle, all of our angles are going to be positive, right? So from here to here, it's positive 30 degrees. From here to here, it's positive 60 degrees. So anytime we go counterclockwise, so backwards on the clock, right, it ends up being a positive angle. But what's really interesting is that if we go clockwise, so like you would normally go on a clock, all of these angles are going to be negative. So really this 330 degrees is also equal to negative 30 degrees. This 315 degrees, if we go clockwise, is also equal to negative 45 degrees. So if you are ever given an angle that's negative, it's asking you to go clockwise around the unit circle. Right, so this 300 is also equal to negative 60 degrees. And this goes on forever and ever and ever, right? So a circle goes on for forever, right? It's like, you can think of it as like a giant loop. So if I wanted to go around the circle twice, so I spin around the circle one time, that gets me to 360 degrees. If you watch snowboarding or if you're into skateboarding, you'll kind of understand this, I think, a little bit quicker. If I go around one more time, right, so 360 plus 360, that's a 720, right? So when you hear like snowboarders or skateboarders talk about like, oh, like I did a 720, I don't really know the lingo. But that just means that they like their board flipped twice or they spun twice, like in a complete circle. Okay, so we have some specific notation too. So if I am saying pi over 3, which is just 60 degrees, and so if you don't understand why pi over 3 is 60 degrees, watch the video on converting from radians to degrees and from degrees to radians. But so let's say I have pi over 3, and I'm saying that pi over 3 is true for every answer, okay? Well, pi over 3 is still equal if I go all the way around the circle again. So if I go all the way around the circle again, and I get back to pi over 3, it's now pi over 3 plus, what's my circumference of my circle? 2 pi. Right, so pi over 3 is really the same as 7 pi over 3. So if I go around my circle again, right, plus another 2 pi, that's really the same as 13 pi over 3. And this can keep going forever and ever and ever because it's a circle. So the way we write this, instead of doing like plus 2 pi again and again, we do pi over 3 plus 2 pi times n, where n is, that's an is, any whole number, right? Because if I go around the circle one time, takes me back to pi over 3. If I go around the circle 2 times, takes me back to pi over 3. 3 times, it will keep taking me back to pi over 3. And so if I go the opposite way, right, it still takes me back. So even if that is like a -1, right, it still takes me back to pi over 3. Even if n is a -2 and I go around backwards twice, it still takes me back to pi over 3. Okay, so when we talk about angles and we come up with solutions, we usually use this notation right here, and we specify that n is any whole number. That way we know. Because if it's a decimal, that won't take us around the circle. But if it's a whole number, right, it will take us a certain number of 2 pi's around the circle. And 2 pi is the whole circle.